All right, this is the item that we've had a lot of discussion about. And in all my years of working with Garter carriages, this item just always stayed where it belonged, right there, attached to the lower rail assembly. Now, I'm going to flip this over. This is its normal working position. This is where the magnets go. This is what you see in the front. And of course, our brushes are going to be right there and right there.
So these would be at touching the machine?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where our brushes are, our little round rubber wheels on this particular item. I call them all brushes, whether they're plastic or rubber or fiber. But this is the thing I want to show you is this hole right here, and I'll put the screwdriver in that hole. This is where, when the carriage is sitting on top of this lower frame rail assembly, the screw goes through. The casing for the carriage will be right there. The metal piece that it goes into is this red straw, and so it goes through the casing foot and it goes into that metal piece at the back of the carriage. So this basically is what the carriage hinges on. When you go to load the carriage, you lift it up and you slide this onto the bed and drop your carriage down. All Garter carriage people will know this. But back to what we're working on. All right, this is the piece. Now, I'm going to try and turn it. Can the camera see the shiny spots right there?
I think so. Let me
right
zoom in. Yeah, to the camera, at least on my screen, they're looking darker because of the way the light hits it, although to my eyes, they look brighter.
Yeah, but I'm seeing a bunch of marks right here and a shiny area right here against the dull gray of the metal. And that's telling me this is where the needles have come in and out and in and out.
They've rubbed on it.
Right. Okay. Now I'm going to try to turn it and look at how bent this piece is.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm going to lay the straw up against it. It should be flat, but you see the straw will not go in any shape. All right, so these do become bent. Now, the way they hold in place is twofold. One, and I'll try to use the straw again, this ear is very prominent. You can see it's a pointy area. You see these ears are not so prominent. Again, this one is very prominent. This one not so much.
So they weren't meant to be alike, is that correct?
That's correct. What they are is notches that were cut into the metal so that, I'm going to try and get it turned this way, those pieces could be bent, one slightly this way, one slightly that way, to go into these slots so that they lock into position. And what happens is these little ears become straightened where they should have been slightly off center. Let me see if I can turn it that way.
That one looks a little off-center to me.
See, these little ears stick back so that when they go through this slot right here, let me get the screwdriver. See, when they go through that slot right there, this is a soft plastic piece. And when they go through, they pop out the other side and those little ears are slightly bent so that they wedge in place.
On purpose.
On purpose. And I'll try to show you, see this piece of railing, see the slots in it?
You need to rotate it towards me a little so that anybody could see.
Yeah. See the little slots in it? That's the same thing we're talking about. These are cut in, designed to be flexed so that when that flat metal piece right there pushes into the slots, these spread out pieces keep it in place.
Yeah.
Okay, same thing here. But you see what happens now. This one's a good example. These are splayed to the sides. This one, look, that one's almost gone.
So it's just a wear and tear thing going on
It's
there.
just wear, right. And this one. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop filming for a minute and take my needle nose and straighten this all out. and then I'll show you how it goes into place. All right, what I did was take my needle nose and holding it in the position.
Needle nose pliers.
Needle nose pliers. My nose is not needly by any way sense of the word. And I'm going to flex. You see how I'm flexing?
Ah, you're scaring me to death.
Okay, it's not going to, this is a really soft piece of metal. And that's what I did, was straightened out this area in the middle. It's just that I have to be able to get it up where my little eyeballs will see it to do that. Now let me show you something. If I put the red straw flat to this side, look what it does. It canters away from the other side.
Oh, it does.
Okay.
So they're not on a plane, in other words,
not.
the sides of the V.
Right, there you go. Same thing. If I'm level here.
Rotate it towards us.
Okay, if I'm level on this side to my left, then it's going away. So these guys slant down.
They're not meant to be on a plane, are they?
They are not.
Okay.
And here's the problem we're having is these are coming loose. One knitter sent me a picture of this laying separately from this, wanting to know what the name of this part is. Well, this part has no name or number. It's part of the lower rail assembly. And if you lose this, you have to buy a whole lower rail assembly, which is why we're doing this video, to repair this.
So it looks like maybe we've just reached the time in the history of garter carriages where this rather fragile piece of metal is showing its age and wear.
That is exactly right. And there's another factor going on. I showed you this is a soft piece of steel.
Yes.
It's really stainless steel, but it's not very thick, so you can bend it and flex it.
Well, and that area is very small.
Right. Well, and the whole thing is very, very thin. And though it's stainless and will only polish as the needles run across it. Now, one knitter complained it's up on one side and it's hitting the needles.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now let me see if I can show you what's going on. All right, here we go. Can the camera see what we're doing?
I'm going to rotate a little bit and zoom.
I want to show you I'm putting this ear into its slot. I'm starting it in. And then to me, so I can see, I am putting that ear in. Look what happens. See how that rides up?
Show us what rode up. I'm not clear on it.
See how this end
is so
way out.
If it's not tucked in to its spot.
Right, and see how this one, when I line up these two, this one is not lined up, and this one is just way out of this world.
So what do? You have to flex them all into position?
Exactly. That is what really holds this in place.
So the knitter who has one sticking up has exactly this situation.
That's right. And I will try to rotate it and let you see.
Let me draw back a bit.
What happens. See, these are in place. See where that's at? It's nowhere near the slot it's supposed to go in.
No, nor is it properly oriented with reference to the needle bit anymore.
Right, it's way out in the magnet area. These two
So it's going to hit something.
It's going to hit something. But now part of the reason this stays in place is because you have to flex it to get it into place.
So it's under its own pressure once it's correct.
That's right. It's kind of its own spring to hold it in place. And so you have two things going on. If this becomes bent, it's not being its own spring. And if those ear tabs become worn, they don't pop through like they're supposed to. So I'm going to go ahead and mount it up, and I have to look at it to do it. So we'll stop while I do this, and I'll show you. All right, now we are in place. Our tabs are in their slots, and I will tell you what we did. The first thing we made sure is that the tab is lined up with the surface of the plate. This surface, this tab, this surface, this tab, because what happens is, since you do have to flex this to put it in place, the tab wants to bend a little bit. So you take your needle nose and you make sure that you squeeze the tab and its surface so that they're in the same plane with one another.
So you have to have your eyes where you can sight that plane, which is why you could not do it on camera, because we can't face the camera with it
Right.
and your eyes both.
Okay, now if camera can see me, you'd start these two and you very carefully with thumb and forefinger pop one then the other one into place. Now that's going to make these two hard to do because they're going to be flexed away. So we first make sure that they're lined up correctly. The tab is flat just like this surface. Then we do one, and one will pop in easy. The other one, if you're not careful, will bend rather than pop into place. We take a pair of slip joint pliers that normally close, and we slip them so they won't close. Then what we're going to do is get where we can catch the metal away from the actual, see, if I put the pliers right into place, it's going to stop the tab from coming through. So since there's a circle in the pliers, we want to get the plate at the top of the jaw and the magnet behind it at the same spot in the jaw. So when
you left room right there for the tab to pop through.
You got it. You got it.
He can't really rotate it so we can all see equally well, but
and
good.
There you go. You see, it's an easy thing to do.
So there's pressure in place, but it is not in the way of the tab coming through.
That's right, and it doesn't take much pressure. It's just that, see, now I'm free to be able to hold this in the right line and just a little bit of pressure, and you remarked when we did it, it popped into place.
Yeah, you can hear it. I'm 3 feet away, and it was very audible.
Now let's look.
Not loud though.
When it's in place, you see the screwdriver can't go between this surface and the plastic. So we're in place. Now we're going to ask the camera to stand on its head and keep up with me. This is called 5-second fix. I really like this stuff because it's originally used in dentistry, and you may have some in your teeth because it is a polymer that hardens under ultraviolet light.
It's not hard to get though. We ordered from Amazon after a friend recommended it and have since seen it even at Walmart. So it's not a big deal.
And the messy part is, and I'll see if the camera can see how it's leaking. When they get old, and if they're stored in a varying temperature, then... and they smell good too.
I don't call that good.
Now, we've had some friends tell me super glue will do the same thing. Basically, all we want to do is add something around the tab, which is what I'm fixing to do. If it'll cooperate.
He's just dabbing out little bits around the tab that's in the proper position.
That's right. Now we turn on our ultraviolet light. We hold it there for 5 seconds. I don't know if the camera can see the purple.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And now,
that hardens the little glue.
Yeah, we do the 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, unless you're in Europe, and then you go 1 1000, 2 1000.
Europeans aren't allowed to say Mississippi.
They are, but they don't know where Mississippi's at. Okay.
And knowing helps, huh?
Yeah, it does. It makes it work better. Now I'm going to take a small screwdriver and I'm going to show the camera. There's a slot right here. See the screwdriver went into that little slot? That's the flex joint. That's what lets this metal pop through the plastic without breaking the plastic, because that little joint will flex. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we get a drop of this adhesive in the flex joint, so that when the machine is operating,
it doesn't pop out
on it, flex back.
So am I right that what you're doing here is making up for the fact that these tabs have aged and lost some strength?
Exactly. They don't have the...
They're not supposed to need to come in and out for any routine purpose.
Ever. And like I said, all the times I've worked with these, and you see this lower rail assembly is off because I have taken the carriage apart either for robbing parts out of it or for deep cleaning. And this is all you ever do is take this off and do a little hand cleaning when you're cleaning.
But we've started getting lots of emails about this subject, so probably it's just the time.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, in the life of all pieces of equipment, something goes wrong on all of them. And don't get me started on Caterpillar.
Stop.
Okay. Yeah, I've worked with enough heavy equipment which is designed for constant use. And every piece of equipment has its wear factor. And who knew that these little garter carriage under rail assemblies had one?
So your point is here, if it's not in smithereens, you can get it back in its proper position and secure it with a little adhesive.
That is absolutely correct.
But we wouldn't want enough adhesive to get in the way of function.
Well, that's the thing is, here's where the front rail goes.
Mm-hmm.
This is the lip. Can the camera see? This is the lip that locks into the front of the machine so you know it's engaged properly. Mm-hmm. This is the back rail where the, this is the slot where the back rail rides. And
so where those tabs are, you do have a little bit of room to dab your adhesive.
Oh, yeah. See, anything, you can see this is sticking to the magnet. The magnet is the lowest thing on the bottom.
What I'm thinking, though, is there are glues that are good in their way but remain a little pliable and thus sometimes a little sticky even, and those would be a bad choice.
Right. You want something that hardens.
But now it's locked in.
Right. And I use, a lot of times you'll hear me talk about my two-part epoxy, and I like it for that reason, because once, stinky is all get out.
Yeah, use it on the porch.
Yeah. Once it has set, it's not going to go anywhere. Now, I use this 5-second.
Sorry, folks, the sun has caught up to us. We positioned ourselves so that you wouldn't get glare, and here it comes.
All right, I use this 5-second fix on a lot of the casings, like the cover for your machine. This will hold the pieces in the proper alignment while you put a little two-part epoxy in there to seal it up. So if the cover for your bed gets a break in it, then you can use this to hold the pieces in place.
We're our 5 seconds up, I hope.
Yeah, and then you smear a little two-part epoxy on the inside, outside of your casing.
The outside looks good. The inside's got extra.
Inside has got reinforcement. Right, there's our 5 seconds. We're going to make sure 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Okay, we're done.
Okay.